Hello and welcome to Wise Women Speak, an audio series designed for women to find their own voices and to express their creativity in the world. My name is Liz Scott, and I'm an author and a well-being coach with a particular passion for well-being and listening in communities.
My name is Dorothy Kolomiejski, and I am also a coach and an author, and I work with people to bring their dreams into reality.
Dorothy, we've got a wonderful topic today, discovering what a real yes feels like. What does a real yes feel like? I mean, we've been having some great conversations before we actually pressed record today, and sort of mulling over what that means for ourselves. And you were telling me a story about something that really happened for you earlier on in your life.
I was just telling you about I was finishing up graduate school, and I'd had this vision for quite a few years that I wanted to go into the Peace Corps and that I would go into the Peace Corps after grad school. And I had filled out the application and they were talking about where they would place me. And I hadn't signed an agreement or gone into any training or anything like that, but I was full in on that path. And there was this voice inside of me that just kept saying, Dorothy, don't go into the Peace Corps. You need to go to Russia. I'm like, what? Russia? I knew nothing about Russia. I didn't have one Russian friend. I didn't speak a word of Russian. I'd never taken a class about, Russian history. I knew nothing about it aside from reading the literature, of course. And I thought that is just the craziest thing I've ever heard of. Not to mention, the Soviet Union was in the process of crumbling, and there was political mayhem over there. So I ignored it. And then I just kept going, Dorothy, you have to go to Russia. Dorothy, you have to go to Russia. So to make a long story short, I followed the thread and I ended up going over and living in Russia. And I was couch surfing for about 6 months. I didn't even know why I was there, to be honest. And then everything just started to align. I met people and we made we got together and made a group, and we ended up writing books that were used throughout the former Soviet Union in schools on character education, and we ran teacher training workshops, and it was a huge thing. I was there for 4 years, but I could never have been able to see that from so far away. It just looked like craziness, Liz, to go.
I mean, it kind of reminds me about what we were talking about last time, which is listening to your heart's calling, and how this is on a very similar theme, really, where you say yes to your heart's calling. It's I think we often say yes to things that we don't really want to do, and
Mm,
this is different. And often when we listen to our heart's calling, it's like, wow, this isn't what I expected I might be doing. And I guess it can be really simple. It can be, for example, just here's a really simple example for me in my life, is that um, I heard about in our local community that there's a community big band. And I think I said before, I play the saxophone, and I just listened, and there was something within me was like, go and try the big band, and I followed that. That was me saying yes to something, and just trying it out and going along and seeing if I enjoyed it. And I think sometimes we get a bit confused, or certainly I do, because I feel as though if I follow that yes, then there has to be an outcome or a result, and the result proves that it was right to follow the
mm,
yes, if you see what I
mm.
mean.
I totally see
Go
what
on,
you
what do you
mean. Yeah.
hear in that then?
So this is very funny, Liz, because we had talked a little bit before, and this is something that I had completely forgotten about. But I love to sing, but I didn't sing in a choir for a very long time, elementary school. And we have a professional choir in our town here, and they're fantastic. And they were having their annual tryouts. And something in me was just like, go, right? I play the flute. I don't even read music for voice, right? So all of a sudden, I find myself instantly completely over my head. They're like, "All right, where are the sopranos? I'm at the sopranos. We're gonna warm up. They're passing out the music," and I'm like, "I really should get out of here. Like, I have no right to be in here." And what happened was I just found myself in the middle of this powerful choir singing Mozart's Requiem.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. So I laughed and that was it. I didn't join the choir. I still don't know how to read music for voice, and nothing came of it. And the people around me were just, tolerant of me. I just jumped in and did my thing, but it was
I love it.
incredible. It was
What
an
it, I mean,
amazing experience.
you wouldn't want to have said no to that, would you? I mean, that just to have that experience is extraordinary. And I think we sometimes get muddled up, don't we? I remember I was speaking to someone earlier in the week, and she was telling me that she listened to that yes for her, and
Mm,
it led to her I think she did some walks in nature, and she put on this little event, and some people came along and they went for a walk in the woods and the forest, and then she thought that was lovely, I'll do it again, and nobody booked up. And she was telling this story as though she'd somehow failed. And I was like, well, no, hang on, you listened to that yes. You created something. You created this walk in the woods. You followed your heart's desire. And that the journey is the playfulness, a bit like you ending up in the choir. It's like that's actually what this is about. Not that 100 people came along and you had a successful course and you made some money. It's like, no, that's not what this is about. There's a lightness, there's a playfulness to what we're talking about when it comes to following that yes.
Well, I think that's such a fantastic example too, because I think it often, like, I see it with people that want to write books. There's so many people that want to write books and they get all tangled up in if they can or they can't, or if they're good enough, or and sometimes I think it's not even about the published book or the end result, but it's about the process, it's about the journey, it's about the learning, it's about the willingness to take risks and put ourselves out there and try. And
Mm,
we have no idea what the ripple effect from us taking action on what our heart is leading us towards, no matter how small or large that action may be. We don't know how we're impacting ourselves and other people and the landscape around us by just saying yes to what feels like a yes to us. And it can be scary and challenging, and it may even be bring on a whole new way of life.
I love that. And just stepping out into that yes, stepping out into the unknown, all these beautiful, wise women that have something to contribute and share. And when I say, contribute and share, it might be through writing, which certainly it has been for me, but it
Mm.
might be through an event, it might be through a hobby, it might be through just picking up a paintbrush, it might be through planting the garden, it might be just starting a hobby or going to a group or a choir it doesn't really matter. It's the playfulness of saying yes to life and just hanging out in the possibilities of what might happen rather than judging whether you've done it right or not. That's not what this is about.
I could not agree more. And I love what you just said. You used the word energy. And I think saying yes as it becomes more and more natural to us. I mean, I think that yes is natural to us when we're children. Little children say yes to what they really want all the time. And no to what they don't want all the time, and often very loudly, and sometimes with tears. And I think it's getting back to that place of listening and living in that whole energy of, I can have what I want. I can say yes to things that are important to me and I'm excited about. I can say yes to playing. I can say yes to giving new things a try. And it's not about the end results or the product, as you said. It's not about quote unquote outward success.
Well, Dorothy, I love these conversations with you. They truly inspire me, and I'm really hopeful that for the people, the women that are listening to this, that they are inspired this week to say yes and discover what a real yes feels like for them.